my mind. I always thought that Kentucky or Tennessee and Kentucky would be like, if we would be up to those ranks of rebel states, Kentucky and Tennessee would be one of those first and second and third place in our books would say would be the most rebel. And who was the president on the $20 bill by this point? Was from Tennessee, and we all know about his history. We all know about his up to a Native American. A Native, if you ever give him a $20 bill, that would be as much as an offense as you would say to him how. That's as much as offense. He was American. I always thought that he was either from Kentucky or I couldn't. If you would tell me that, if you would tell me based of his looks and appearance, another state that wasn't Kentucky or Tennessee, I don't know. I would like to say that he was from, but still, my favorite pinpoint would be Kentucky, and I always thought he was from Kentucky. I always thought of Kentucky as the second most rebellious state apart from Texas. And if you saw, and I know and I'm pretty sure you know how fucked up Keith Richards was in his youth and his career and anything that has to be with this guy's history and with the Rolling Stones. If we had to go on that point, and he still is, and he's still living by this point.
To his credit, he stuck by his guns and never changed.
Okay. From my point of view, in saying that I never saw that he was English. And John Lennon, Ringo Starr, and George Harrison were much more of an English person character than anybody from the Rolling Stones gotten the American citizenship by this point. I'd like to say that he did. Let me check on this point. Like I said, I'm not trying to be racist or not trying to be pinpointing anybody, but when I see Keith Richards and I see the Rolling Stones, it's like he's not English. I never thought he was English. And for that point, you have to give credit in saying that the man was so much more fucked up than Paul McCartney and John Lennon ever did in their lifetimes. And this is coming from Lennon, that he got shot by a shooter called, if I'm not mistaken, the name of the shooter of John Lennon was, oh my god, what was the name of it? This is the same guy who wanted to impress Susan Sarandon by this point. Oh my god, I always forget his name. Keith Richards doesn't say that he changed his citizenship to American. But still, you have to give me some point of credit in saying that his life and the way that he did his thing is not anything that the Beatles did. I'm going to say that much about the life of Keith Richards. Yep. Yeah, I don't. Who is Mick Jagger? Yeah. Yeah, Mick Jagger. Yeah, that's another person who I'm pretty sure hasn't died. Has he died? Is Mick Jagger dead?
80s,
Okay, okay, I'm gonna say about NASCAR is that. Okay, I know about NASCAR, and again, it's like it's kind of weird to say for me. It's like I know the beginning of NASCAR, and when NASCAR begins, it's where you take off with NASCAR. It's like I know that
if you
NASCAR,
really want to get me going, bring that up.
it's like it's kind of weird for me to say that. It's still like the only thing I know about NASCAR is its beginnings. It's like NASCAR began with bootlegging and rednecks going up on the highways, try to beat the authority and not getting caught by the police. And that's how NASCAR began, out of that adrenaline. You know what? We should do this as a sport. We should do this as a national sport of America. For anybody who likes.
Well, it evolved slowly.
But in its essence, that's how it began. It's like national sport, and let's make our future ancestors, our future descendants look at this. And by that time, it's going to be as famous as baseball for the southern part of the era.
Well, I don't really think they knew where it was going to go. But basically, the forming of NASCAR came from Bill France realizing that a lot of the track promoters in the South, they had kind of their own rules, their own kind of way of conducting a race, and drivers, even the driver that won wasn't getting paid very much. Anybody that didn't win the race didn't get paid anything. The one thing that Bill France wanted to introduce into it was, he wanted to have guaranteed money, guaranteed prize money to the finishers. He wanted to have one concrete set of rules, for every track that they raced on, and he also wanted to have a championship system so they could crown a champion at the end of the season. Now, the first champion was actually Red Byron after a 4-race season.
Okay, and going on that note, and this is coming from a guy who knows Disney's version of Cars by this point. We all know that Lightning McQueen was based out of a real character called McQueen. It's the same as the character. The king,
who was an actor.
Exactly. It's the same base as Lightning McQueen. It's the last name is based on the real character. And the king is the same thing as based as the real character was the king. And here's the thing that, we all know about the history of how the king of Disney Pixar's Cars was based out of the real person. But one thing that I don't know, and I'm pretty sure you would enlighten us.
Was based off the real car of 1970.
Yeah, and it's the same car like the King with Road, and I'm pretty sure the color was blue sky.
Teddy blue.
Yeah. So by that point,
that is his signature color.
Okay. By that point, I want to say based out of any real character from the NASCAR series. Would you pinpoint him and any person who would be related to Doc Hudson in that sort of way?
I'm not sure. I think he's probably an amalgamation of a few different drivers, but I don't know. I'd have to do a little research.
So he's not like. I
mean, as far as the way the character was portrayed, I mean, personality wise, he was Paul Newman. Nobody else could have played Doc Hudson.
Yeah, it's true. That's how. Well, it's if we want to go in that route, Paul Newman and Doc Hudson. That was that basic thing for that movie, for the first movie, because Paul Newman only appeared on Cars first, and that was one of those things. But that's the thing, is that when I found out that everybody was based out of everybody, Lightning McQueen, the King, and everybody else who was in the NASCAR based era on the time was based out of everybody, I was like, was Doug Hudson based on a real NASCAR driver? If we want to talk about that sort of thing, but because like I said, where I know my history of NASCAR, you pick up the series.
I just fill in the blank spots.
You just fill in the blank spots for me because I'm totally a nuisance by that point. Because I only know that it was run out of bootlegging. If we want to talk about legally or illegally, the first years of NASCAR was, I'm pretty sure it was illegal. Bootlegging, driving people who...
Bootlegging is still illegal.
Yeah, it's still illegal, and if you want to go to the roots of NASCAR...
It's still alive and well.
It's still alive and well. I mean, you can...
Yep.
I'll
be right back. I'll be right back in a few minutes, dude.
Yeah, sure. Take your time. I'm still talking to our audience here. By this point, then they would know... The Rolling Stones had more down and dirty style than the Beatles. Yeah. Okay. And I'm going by this person. I know this person. You're the only person who is in the stream. I was out to say that. The Rolling Stones had more down and dirty style than the Beatles. Okay, if we want to go on that route, yeah, the Rolling Stones had more. And again, I'm not pointing, I'm not saying that I'm a racist person, that I always thought that Keith Richards was American, and he was born on the Kentucky. I don't know why he was born on the Kentucky in my mind that he happened to be born off. But still, yes, the Rolling Stones were more dirty than the Beatles. Because at least the Beatles, you can say that they were more English than their counterparts, the Rolling Stones. But again, oh yes, Bill Haley. Bill Haley and his comments. Again, I think this is the first person that I can say, other than Chubby Checker, was the person who introduced rock and roll in its early infancy. I know this because my aunt used to hear Bill Haley and his comments. My other aunt used to listen to Chubby Checker. By that point, Chubby Checker was young. My aunt was young as far as 20, but still. Who hasn't?
All right, I'm back.
Yeah, so glad that you can join us. I was looking at the live chat that I'm looking at it right now. And somebody saying the Rolling Stones had more down and dirty style than the Beatles. I'm going to say that it's true. It's true. And by that point, like I said, I'm not being racist by anything else, but still, I can say that if we're going on personalities or anything like that, on that note, I would like to say that I always thought that Rolling Stones were Americans. I mean, who would have thought that the Rolling Stones were Americans and Keith Richards was English? It's like if you would have told me that Donald Trump's grandfather was German, and this is how much I know too, I would have never thought that he was a German. I always thought that his ancestry dated back to the Pilgrims, because how much he eludes of his ancestry, and he likes to believe that his ancestors came from Pilgrim Rock, and he was the first settlers of America. Out of anything.
I don't know.
Like I said, it's so much as that. It's like, I don't know. It's kind of new to me. Like I mean, still, I can't even believe it. Like Keith Richards is English. Like I said, it's
3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock.
Oh my God, it's. But yeah, I could say as much as this person from the chat is saying. Ever heard of Fats Domino? Fats Domino. I don't know. Fats Domino. I don't know much more of isn't as popular as Chubby Checker or Elvis Presley or anybody who was in that era. Let me.
Which is going to get your OBS set up in the perfect.
If you again, let me see.
I'm going to Kansas City. Kansas City, here I come.
Oh my God! Yeah, yeah. That's the guy. Okay. Okay. Yeah. That's Fats Domino. Okay. Here's the weird thing about me. I would never know what the guy's name who sang the song would be, but I'm pretty